morning to all my respected teachers and my dear friends. I, Debushi Banik of B.Ed first semester, is here to deliver a speech on Swami Vivekananda. As today it is his birthday, so on this auspicious day my speech is on his biography and his travelling to the West, and also some of his major works in the West and in India. So before I begin my speech, I want to give an introduction on Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was one of the most distinguished spiritual leaders of India who took the ancient Indian message of Vedanta to the West and at the same time called upon Indians to serve God in man. He was not a prophet aloof from the miseries of the world. As a patriot saint, he exhorted Indians to serve India by especially working for the economic purpose of the society. Thus, he has left behind a dual legacy of spiritual awakening and national revival. I want to quote one of the saying of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda once said, "The worship and service of humanity are the only prayer in which the worshipper, the worship, and the worshipped are one." Now I want to discuss on his birth and some of Swami Vivekananda's early life. To discuss about his birth and early life, Swami Vivekananda was born as Narendranath Datta in Calcutta on January 12, 1863. His parents were Bhuvedeshwari Devi and Vishwanath Datta, an attorney at law at the Calcutta High Court. In 1881, as a young student at Scottish Church College, Calcutta, he first met the great saint and mystic Sri Ramakrishna. Young Naren was seeking God, and whichever holy man he met, Naren asked if he had seen God. But when he asked Sri Ramakrishna the same question, the latter affirmed that he has seen God just as clearly as he saw him, or probably even better. He added that there were means to realize God, and if Naren followed them, he too would do the same. It was the authenticity in this promise of direct experience of God that appealed to the intensely rational Narendranath, and he was equally moved to see the all-encompassing love of the saint. Eventually, Narendranath accepted Sri Ramakrishna as his spiritual master. Narendranath organized some of his brother disciples, and together they all took the vow of sannyasa in December 1886. They lived in a temporary monastic premise at Baranagar in Calcutta. Between 1888 and 1889, he lived there. He also traveled to various pilgrimage centers in North India. Now I am going to discuss on how Swamiji was a Parivrajaka, means a monastic wanderer. To discuss Swami Vivekananda as a Parivrajaka, as he had an intense spiritual longing for God realization in 1890. He finally set out as a Parivrajaka, that is a monastic wanderer. In the next 2 years, he travelled across the length and breadth of the country and visited various places in the present states of Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Delhi, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and also Hyderabad. It was during this period that he acquired the monastic name Vivekananda. He met different people ranging from kings and merchants to the poorest of the poor. He accepted the hospitality of Hindus and Muslims, rich and poor alike. It was during this 2-year sojourn that he became convinced about two things related to India. One, the masses were living in abject poverty, and unless something was done for their advancement, there was no hope for India. Two, religion was the backbone of Indian civilization. Hence, any attempt at reform that ignored to destroy the innate religions of India and would never succeed in this land. After having seen the plight of the poor in India, in December 1892, he sat in meditation on a rock in Kanyakumari, the southern tip of the country, and received a spiritual vision. He saw the future India resplendent, and he had an action plan. Renunciation and service were the twin ideals of India, and according to Vivekananda, any attempt at rational regeneration in this land should take place keeping in mind these ideals. At the same time, Vivekananda had realized that the God preached by Hinduism is the divinity present in man. At Kanyakumari, spiritualism and patriotism fused together to produce Vivekananda's ideal of service of God in man. He also realized that the time had come when no part of the world and could prosper in an isolated manner. Hence, the uplift of India and the progress of the whole were directly related to each other. During his Parivrajaka days, he had heard about the forthcoming World's Parliament of Religions, which was to take place in Chicago. Some of his disciples and followers, especially the Raja of Ramnath, were of the opinion that he should attend the parliament. In due course, Vivekananda was convinced that he should do the same. His disciples, especially those based in Madras, raised funds for his journey to the west, and the Raja of Khetri also provided to facilitate the journey. Now I am going to discuss on his journey to the west. On May 31, 1893, Vivekananda set sail for America from Bombay. The ship sailed via China and Japan, and in July reached Vancouver, from where Swami travelled to Chicago. Vivekananda had given his first lecture at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago on the inaugural day, September 11, 1893. His was an instant success at the Parliament, given his personality, articulation, and authenticity on account of spiritual realization. Swamiji had declared, "I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal tolerance, but we accept all religions are true." He said, the Parliament itself signified that it was a time to bid farewell to sectarianism, bigotry, and fanaticism. He also said, "I fervently hope that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecutions." He upheld before the people the ancient wisdom of Vedanta, that the human soul is eternal and immoral and perfect and infinite. The Swami also said that religion was not the crying need of India. India did not require missionaries to teach them religion. India required bread, which must be provided to the starving mouth, and that he came to the West precisely to seek help in this regard. He said, "God forbid that a Christian becomes a Hindu or vice versa." After the closing of the Parliament, Vivekananda became a much sought after personality in America. He was aware that it was his divinely ordained mission to spread the ancient spiritual wisdom of India and across the world. From 1890, as well as in London, in Europe, many earnest spiritual seekers, the West becomes his disciples. On June 20, 1899, Vivekananda left for his second trip to the West and reached London on July 31. He taught mainly in New York and California. On both his trips to Europe, the Swami had met some of the leading intellectuals and scholars. His return to India, the Swami, accompanied by his Western friends and disciples, travelled to Italy by train. In Colombo, a great reception was awaiting him. He delivered some famous lectures in Colombo and, at the request of the local people, accepted to undertake a tour in different cities of Ceylon, giving lectures and attending reception programs. He stayed on in Madras for some time to deliver some of his most important lectures in India. On May 1, 1897, he founded the Ramakrishna Mission and Ramakrishna Mott, with headquarters at Belur in the outskirts of Calcutta. The motto of this institution is Atmano Moksharatam Jagat Hitaya Cham, for one's spiritual liberation and for the welfare of the world. His purpose behind setting up this organization was to spread the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and the ancient Vedantic teachings of the Upanishads. I want to quote a saying of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda once said, "Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity." The mission was also to undertake activities for serving the poor in the spirit of serving God in man. From Bengal, the Swami proceeded on a lecture tour to northern India, beginning with Almora. Once again, everywhere he went, he was greeted with a huge reception and also a warm welcome. Thus, he lectured in various cities in Uttarakhand, Punjab, Kashmir. He then returned to Calcutta and consolidated the work on the Ramakrishna Mott and mission by teaching and initiating many disciples and monastics, and also opening up branch centers in some other cities, Varanasi and others in East Bengal and Assam. Now I am going to discuss on some of the major works of Swami Vivekananda in the West. The significance of Vivekananda's participation in the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago was that it was for the first time an Indian spiritual giant to the West to represent the Hindu religion. This momentous event, in fact, opened up the exchange between India and America in particular in the domain of spiritualism in the subsequent decades. More importantly, instead of presenting Hinduism from a sectarian viewpoint, Vivekananda emphasized on the universal aspects of Hinduism and Vedanta in particular. He underscored the dimensions of religious pluralism and universalism. In the spirit of his master, Sri Ramakrishna, Vivekananda too preached that all spiritual paths leads to the truth, and this teachings was based on their spiritual realizations. Vivekananda's most important work in the West was to sow the seeds of Vedanta, which according to him was the distilled form of Hinduism, with a universal appeal. Notwithstanding the religious affirmation of a person, Vivekananda also drew some of his most important followers and disciples from the West, who later became involved in his work for India, like Josephine, MacLeod, Sister Nivedita, Sister Christine, and others. His works in Indian society and the world at large was that he set up an organization like the Ramakrishna Mission, which till this day maintains an impeccable reputation in work related to the spiritual and social welfare of the nation. Swamiji has similarly inspired the setting up of several other organizations like the Vivekananda Kendra, which has developed with his ideas of a spiritually inspired nationalism as the nucleus. He emphasized also on the education of women, and on a visionary, he also realized the importance of scientific and material advancement for the welfare of India. Vivekananda taught the highest spiritual ideal of the Hindus as in the principles of Vedanta, that each soul is divine in the essence and there is only one reality which we perceive as many as we see it through time, space and causation. Furthermore, on the other hand, do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of this, and be free. Most importantly, Vivekananda showed the way for the practical application of the lofty Vedantic ideal of oneness. It has to manifest in the expression of acceptance, love, and service. Thank you.